My name is Bryson Richards. I own Type 11 and 380 Industries. And then we started playing around with some R32s to try and have a little fun. So we mainly build and are part of really special Porsche 911 builds. Do everything from all the fab to all the paint. We do all our painting in-house, every bit of it, all the priming, all the body work. We're one of the few shops that have the factory Celette frame bench. The one that we have is an old, what they call Muff 7. It was one of the original benches that they used for chassis repair on the 911s, and back in the 70s and 80s especially, it was the only factory approved bench. Take an entire floor pan and an entire car and build everything based off the bench, and it'll be absolutely truly square. The bench is booked out 2 years already. It is a fantastic tool. It is a very unique tool. It is incredibly difficult to explain to someone what we do, because it sounds like it's made up. It sounds like we're not, it's like, you do what? We're a part of these builds with several other companies, like for Lee Keen's Safari 911s, and you try to explain to somebody, it's an off-road 911. And they're like, what's an off-road 911? Porsche has an extremely deep racing history. The Safari 911s, when people ask what we do, I just tell them I hunt bears. So the Mark 5 R32 looks like factory a GLI in the front. The Mark 4 R32 is iconic because it had the different bumpers, very distinctly different visually than a Mark 4 GTI. The Mark 5 R32, that horrible, horrible factory front bumper. There are guys who love it. I do not love it. The Thunder Bunny really was the bumper that should have been on the R32. It was sportier, more aggressive. You can see the influence from the Mark 4 R32 front bumper. A lot of them came on the TDI Cup, which fell under the Dieselgate stuff. A lot of those Jettas were turned in. A couple people held on to them. There are also, the Thunder Bunny bumper was made of this horrible plastic. It was just brittle. No matter what, it was brittle. You looked at it, you breathed on it wrong, it would break. It was just a horrible material. 2010, when they were $500–600 new, all right, let's get one. And we put it on my buddy's J car, and I was like, it looks a lot better than your other R32. And just not a lot of them survived between Dieselgate and just what they were. And back 2010, $600 was still expensive for a bumper. Fast forward to today's times, they were broken or they didn't have them, but you could not find one. I think I paid between $1,500 and $1,800 and it was broken. I mean, pieces of it were missing. It wasn't a complete kit. It was just the bumper. 2 years ago, I set out to start finding them again. So I started hitting up people who were posting 4 or 5 years ago, hey, you still have that bumper? No, that was 4 years ago. I was like, all right, well, I'm just asking. But you were able to find the grills. You could find the grills, but it's crack money. Fog light grills you can find all day long. They're not hard to find. Non-fogs are harder to find. The big thing with the Thunder Bunnies is either the Thunder Bunny lower lip or actually the upper grill brackets or the upper bumper brackets that go behind the grill, those pieces. A lot of people just didn't put them on. You can't find a better driver car than an R32, be it Mark 4 or Mark 5. My preference is Mark 5. You know, the Mark 5 here in the US obviously was DSG. At 44 years old, I do not care if it is a manual or a DSG. That argument is mute to me. Sure. They're reliable, drive them hard, you can drive them slow. They're not fast, they're just solid. The driving experience between the two of them, this is opinion, is the Mark 5 is a more refined chassis. The silhouettes are not as iconic as a Mark 4 R32. When the Mark 5 R32 came and it's driving down the road and you have a Mark 5 GLI driving down the road, you can barely tell the difference between the two. It didn't get the love that the Mark 4 did, but we're starting to see that change as Mark 4s are fetching $30,000–$40,000. Mark 5s, it's still an affordable car. And with the way that the world is going, Mark 5s are gonna start creeping up. Cars progress and the electric stuff gets forced upon us. I'm seeing less and less people care about the manual and DSG debate. What do we do for fun? That's the thing. We don't do any work for the public. We mainly do all Porsche. I still look for an outlet because cars are what I know. It's all I know. We work 4 10-hour days, so we're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I still play with cars. I've had my R32 for 8 years. I've got a really good network of friends that I am able to enable into, hey, I got some really off-brain ideas, let's do this. And they jump in and they help support, and it always turns into something. Do they look different or they look the same?
They all look the same.
This is one that we're in the middle, right in the middle of building. We'll have it ready for Wookiees. It's the new Mark 8 Moonstone Gray. It's from my buddy Nick Wong out of Florida. He went Thunder Bunny front, side skirts, and rear. He's not doing really much with the interior until he gets it. It's already got Alcantara headliner. We'll be doing the brakes. We do the 18Zs on them. That's the best. It's the best caliper upgrade for a Mark 5. They bolt on, they're readily available, they're easy to find. People are like, oh, what about the unsprung weight? And it's a good caliper. It's a good driver. That's all it's about.
This one is painted to sample, and the sample is the lift.
We put that on the lift and I was like, that's the same color. So this is the Mark IV that Rian got from us that turned into a year-long project. The evening before he was leaving to go to Wookiees last year, pretty much swapped the head and 2 of the valves because it dropped 2 valves. Got it done in a couple hours, and then he drove it to Wookiees that day. Oh, this car got the head off my Cayenne. That's right, the Cayenne that we rolled over. This one got my spare head, and he drove it all Wookiees and has driven it since. 3 weeks to a month ago, we put the roof supercharger on it, and it's still running. It's probably one of the strongest Mark IVs that's running around. The car's gorgeous. His interior, he did awesome on it. We use our guy Spencer from Top Stitch for all the interior stuff, but the kit's strong. It's just not the prettiest. So we're gonna go through it. It's a big blower, you know. It's not the cleanest, but we can make it clean. Yeah. So the Tornado Red one is mine. It's Tornado Red. It was flaking like all the others. It sat for a while. I kind of gave up on it. 2 years ago now, we sanded it all down, stripped everything down, brought it back to good. So a lot of people ask what these are. This is the remote reservoirs to our MCS setup that we developed with Motion Control. Motion Control is one of the premium top of the line suspension companies in the US. They're only about 25 minutes from my shop. We worked with them to develop the Cayenne suspension, and so we did the same with the Mark IV and Mark 5 R32. But here you can adjust. This is your compression adjustable. You have the rebound adjustment down off the shock itself. The benefit to them is their valving technology, as well as being a coilover, so you can corner balance and set ride height and whatnot. So the roll bar we fabbed in-house. It's actually a bolt-in, but we made all of that in-house. The speed box, or the communication box there, is for when we go to track days, so I don't have to yell at my passenger. But same with the MCSs in the rear. We did the dry brakes with them, the breakaways. That helps with when we're doing servicing or swapping out springs or anything. Right now I'm running 450 square all the way around. It's pretty stiff. It's stiffer than I think most people would like, but I really like how it feels. It's a very neutral handling car now. Yeah, I went all black. I don't like silvers on everything. That's just not my style. It's got Schritt cams, Lucifer headers, and Miltech cat delete, and then full Miltech all the way back. So the seats are from Corbeau. They're just the standard Corbeau with the tartan inlays in the center. I drive this car pretty much every day, and I'm coming home from work in it. I'm gonna be dirty half the time. One of my good buddies was like, oh, you're making it a GTI interior. I just like the tartan. That's why I even had the bags made from Relicate. They're just travel bags. They just sit in there. My wife and I will use them if we go on a road trip. I haven't figured out a steering wheel yet. It's probably the last ugly piece on the car, I would say. And with my Volkswagen roots, I always like the mid-deck wing on the Mark II, Mark III, Mark IVs. They have them for Mark VIs, but nobody had one for Mark Vs. So I got creative, made this one, made the Mark VII one from ECS Fit on there. Went with the real Eurotails. The lower bumper is actually a defunct company now, got out of, I think, the Ukraine. And then we made the bottom rear diffuser by hand at the shop. So the brake setup is 18Z in the front, which is off the Cayenne. In the rear, we did the dual caliper setup. So it retains a factory Mark V rear caliper, and then we did 4-piston off the Cayenne rear as well. I've done big builds for myself, for other people over the years. I didn't want to overbuild. I wanted to drive the car. I didn't want to be anxious to drive the car. If something broke, if something happened, I'm worried, or the car's down, or that. I wanted a solid driving car. But to be able to carry that Thunder Bunny theme through them, and to carry the vision of this is how the R32 should have been, I think is a statement in and of itself. Some people are like, oh, those bumpers are impossible to find. Well, we found them. I mean, we've reached out to dealerships, trying to find new old stock, like literally calling. Because you never know, like, you might get some old dude who's not doing anything that day, and it's like, hey, do you have part number? You don't say what it is, you just say the part number, and then they go in the back, and there's the guy that found one of them, you know? And it's, do you have the passion to do it? Or do you want the end result without any of the work? I was like, my buddy Jay had a R32 when we first met, and I was like, I need you to go buy another one. So he turned in his life savings and his 401k and spent $3,500 on his R32. That's a chalk gray one. Thorin and his wife Michelle got obviously a Mark V R32 as well, and we did that as Fjord green. Obviously all Porsche colors. I didn't change mine because it was tornado red, but the other ones we changed because why not? Everybody came up on nights and weekends. This isn't something that we could execute during shop time, during the day, you know, and then I'm billing them shop time, and they would be outrageous. Like, it's not gonna happen. So literally everybody came and pitched in nights and weekends. It was during off time, and it was over the course of a year and a half. The week we were done with it, she gets in it, she takes it for a drive, takes it home, comes inside and goes, I want one. We have 4 kids, so I'm not gonna be a family of 6 with 2 hatchbacks. It ain't gonna happen. So I was like, there's an A3 Wookie. And she's like, what's that? And so I showed her the A332. Well, we had to do his and her matching, right? Like, had to. The interior was trashed. So it needed all new interior, which we got. The exterior was peeling and completely trashed as well. All 4 wheel bearings were completely dry. Car never would have drove back, but mechanically the engine was pretty good. We did timing chains, did Miltech downpipes, Miltech catback. I've got a set of skirts I still haven't put on it. Did the Mark V R32 brakes on it, and she dailies it. She loves it. When I hire some of the younger guys and they come in, they know the work we do, the stuff we've done. They see the glitz and the glamour kind of side of it. When you learn how the magic trick works, you lose the desire to go to the show. When you go to Disney World, if you learn the behind the scenes on how stuff works, it's not as magical. And that is what is gonna show where your passion is. But after about a year or 2, you find out if they wanna stay, if they have the passion to do it. Once you learn how the magic works, do you have the passion to keep going to the show? That's what's gonna show where your heart's at. Have I lost it? No. Are there times where it's gotten really hard? Yeah. The work that we do every day, I can't show. I can't post about it, I can't share it. So when we're able to do builds like the R32s for ourselves and have fun and get to play and open our envelope a little bit more, I enjoy it because that fills that bucket. You know, that it lets me try things and do things. People have seen the R32s, they're like, oh, you're building R32s, what about Cayennes? It's like, Cayennes are fun. There's not to say that we're not. This is just it's a personal passion project. That's all it is. You know, it was to take what we already had and have some fun.
Good.